Do you remember when the right wing freaked out about Bud Light? I mean, they really freaked out about Bud Light. They were shooting Bud Light cans. The right was very, very, very upset about Bud Light. They were so mad. In Florida, Republican Governor Ron DeSantis got so excited about it, he ordered an official Florida state investigation into Bud Light. In Congress, House Republicans started their own federal congressional investigation of Bud Light. They have spent the better part of the past year on this. No longer would everyone in the country see Bud Light as the beer that is slightly more flavorful than Coors Light, but not quite as flavorful as Miller Lite. But the Bud Light Blue is kind of a pretty color, and sometimes it's on sale, so sometimes you buy it even if you're not in love with it, because no one's really in love with it. And hey, if you're drinking light beer, no one expects to be in love with that stuff anyway. I mean, that's how we all used to think of Bud Light, admit it. But after nearly a year of right-wing culture war, no-holds-barred demagoguery against Bud Light, no longer would any self-respecting right-winger, would any self-respecting Republican buy Bud Light because it was on the end cap and came with a free koozie? No, over the course of just under a year, Bud Light was transformed from a normal American thing you don't think much about into something very, very bad, something they would shoot on sight. Former President Donald Trump, of course, jumped on board. Money does talk. Anheuser-Busch now understands that, he said in a post promoting right-wing boycotts of companies that were seen to be liberal or liberal-seeming, or maybe if you squinted, they might feel a little liberal, but you're not sure why. Bud Light, over the course of this past year, became a conservative target, became a Trump world boogeyman, until Donald Trump did a total 180. Out of the blue, he decided unilaterally to call off the right-wing Jeremiah against Bud Light. He told all his followers to start drinking Bud Light again. Quote, Anheuser-Busch is a great American brand that deserves a second chance. Now, what caused this radical U-turn? What caused the former president to turn on a dime like this? The word dime is a help in this question, because if you put that Trump post back up there, the one where he says everybody should go back to drinking Bud Light, look at the time and date stamp on that one. Can we actually just make that part of it a little bigger? You can see the stamp. Yeah, there we go. All right, so keep that in mind. 3:30 p.m. on February 6th. Why is that when Trump did his 180-degree U-turn on Bud Light? Well, look what happened that same day. Lobbyist for Anheuser-Busch announces $10,000 a plate fundraiser for Donald Trump. So at 9:47 a.m., the lobbyist for Anheuser-Busch announces a $10,000 a plate fundraiser for Trump, 9:47 a.m. That same day at 3:30 p.m., Trump announces that he has changed his mind on Bud Light and conservatives should all drink Bud Light again. That fundraiser was announced on February 6th. It was actually held last week, Wednesday last week, but, you know, all Anheuser-Busch had to do was announce they were going to do the fundraiser to get Trump to do what they wanted, to get Trump to call off what had been a years-long conservative culture war top-line issue. Would you like the head of the Republican Party and the Republican Party's next nominee to be president of the United States to do something for you? Is there something you would like him to do for you or your company? Perhaps you would consider opening your checkbook and swiveling your wrist. Because that's apparently what it took to end the great right-wing Bud Light freakout of 2023 and 2024. One fundraiser. That's how that one sort of ended in fiasco. But now, behold, here comes the same process again. Last week, end of last week, something happened in Washington that almost never happens anymore. There was a vote in Congress. This was an actual policy, and it's even on a somewhat controversial issue. Nevertheless, the vote on this bill last week in Congress was 50-0. Now, this bill is on the issue of TikTok, the social media app. And whatever you think of TikTok, or whether you think of TikTok at all, there have been bipartisan concerns that have been expressed for a long time that this very popular social media app could pose a national security threat in the United States because of links between the company that owns TikTok and the Chinese government. I say there are widespread concerns about this. These have been manifest already in policy at lots of different levels. Already, if you are a federal government employee or contractor, if for work you have a phone or another device that belongs to the federal government says you are not allowed to install TikTok on that device. In more than 30 states, there are similar bans on installing TikTok on any device that belongs to the state government. This bill that's racing through Congress would require app stores to remove TikTok, so you can't download the app anymore. The only contingency would be if the company was sold to a firm that didn't have links to the Chinese government, that didn't have links to Beijing. Barring the company that runs TikTok being sold, TikTok would effectively be off the market. When Trump was president in the summer of 2020, he tried to ban TikTok unilaterally himself. He tried to force the company to be sold. He issued an executive order banning any American citizen from having any transaction with the company that owns TikTok, which effectively would have banned the use of TikTok by anyone in the United States. He tried that. He did that in the summer of 2020. That executive order was eventually struck down by the courts, which is why TikTok is not banned right now. But Trump was very clear on this. He made a huge issue out of TikTok being evil and bad and dangerous. It had to be stopped. He was going to stop it. That was his stand. Until something happened. Do we have that cash register sound? Did you guys find it? Oh, suddenly he's just made a total U-turn. I wonder why. After personally trying to ban TikTok, after railing against it and playing Mr. Tough Guy against TikTok for years now, trying to shut down this app in the United States, Trump has just come out and said, actually, we shouldn't get rid of TikTok. That would be terrible. TikTok's actually got a lot going for it. He said so online on Thursday, and now today he said it in an interview on CNBC.
There are a lot of people on TikTok that love it. There are a lot of young kids on TikTok who will go crazy without it. There are a lot of users. There's, a lot of good.
It's a lot of good. Really. All of a sudden, why the change? Quote, some have noted that Trump recently hosted Jeff Yass at his Mar-a-Lago club in Florida. Yass is a billionaire investor in ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, and Trump is seeking his support in the presidential race. So follow the bouncing coin, if you will. Step one, take very aggressive, very public position against foreign company. Step two, notice nearby man. Who has a $33 billion 15% stake in that company. Step three, need money desperately. Step four, announce new stance very much in favor of the same foreign company you used to oppose while blinking one's eyelashes at the man you just noticed. Step five, ka-ching, cash in. If you would like the head of the Republican Party and the Republican Party's next nominee to be president of the United States to do something for you or your company, open checkbook, swivel wrist. Anything is possible. And if you don't believe me, take it from Trump's own folks. This is the headline in Newsweek right now. Quote, Steve Bannon suggests Donald Trump has been bought. Steve Bannon, former advisor to Donald Trump, suggested on Saturday that the former president was paid off after a shift in his stance on TikTok. When even Steve Bannon is like, whew, this guy appears to be for sale. Steve Bannon right now has been sentenced to prison for a massive... Steve Bannon has been sentenced to prison and is out of prison while his appeal is pending. Steve Bannon has been put up on charges, had to be pardoned by Trump for an alleged massive fraud scheme. Steve Bannon is going to be charged for that alleged massive fraud scheme in New York State court. And Steve Bannon is like, whew, seems a little transactional. I don't know. This guy appears to be for sale. If Steve Bannon is saying you appear to be a little fraudy, a little for sale, a little transactional, that means you have ceased to be subtle about it. There is a lot that is going on in Republican politics right now, which is not the way things usually go in politics. There's a lot of overlap between, like, crime and politics, prison and politics. But as Politico.com reports tonight on the, quote, bloodbath at the RNC, with Trump's people finally taking over as of this weekend, and now as of today, they are firing dozens of people who work at the Republican National Committee, with confirmation that there is no longer even an effort to stop the Republican National Committee from paying Trump's personal legal expenses out of the Republican Party coffers. We are in a place where the entire Republican Party apparatus is merging with Trump's personal legal defense apparatus. And the way he has been behaving when it comes to being transactional at his time of most desperate financial need puts us, no matter how you think of Trump, no matter whether you support him or not, no matter whether you care about politics or not, it puts us, the American people, in a radically fragile place when it comes to what exactly is for sale in our country and from our government. I mean, Bud Light and TikTok seem to have figured out very early on where exactly you insert the coins to receive your prize. But if anything is for sale, right? If everything is for sale, what makes you think it's going to stop with thin beer and Chinese social media apps? Everything must go. Everything's for sale. Anybody who can pay can get what they want. And you wonder why guys like this always want to undermine the rule of law, right?
Makes you feel any better. I have already put evac on alert. He's ready to go if it comes to that. General, I can assure you.
Hey, General, let me into the war room to see you, so I had to hack my way onto this frequency.
This better be critical, Wheelie.
Sir, come on, when is it not, please? Okay, couple of things. I'm running low on the dough. I was thinking about taking a couple of months sick leave, maybe starting today. And, oh yeah. I intercepted a transmission from Megatron.
Then send it through.
Yes, sir, right away, sir. And so I'll assume that we're good on the other stuff.
This is your last warning, insects. Relinquish what remains of the Allspark.
So who's the insect? You? What? Who's the insect?
Protect you. They were defeated on our world, and we will defeat them here.
The Megatron.
This was just a diversion. Security, please bring up. Rabbit, she's already inside. Deeds! Give me an update on that reserve. What's readiness? What was his name? What was it?
Evac, sir.
Right, evac.
She's right in front.
We're facing a heavy sustained attack. They appear to be after the Allspark aircraft. General Marshall! General! Need to immediately evacuate everything. Hold on. National security advisor. Stand down. Check it out. Failed their mission. Celebrations. The amateurs. Suicide mission.